We're finally back.
We're back.
Riding the Bull. Thank you very much for coming back to us. Sorry, we had to take a little break. But before I go in anything, I'd like to introduce, obviously, my partner, as always, Mr. John Marcus.
Hi, Richard.
And John and I wanted to say one thing, and I'm gonna try to get through this.
Okay.
Uh,
You're very
but
emotional.
yeah, well,
Why?
you know,
What's
when you
going
have
on?
something and you see, you know, it manifest and then it grow up, you get emotional because you're attached. We had a little break, and emerging out of this break, producer bags is now broker bags. Passed the test. That's our boy. Woo! So whenever you guys do call or email, or, you know, not only are you going to hear from producer bags, but you're going to hear from broker bags. So I just wanted to congratulate them. Congratulations, broker bags. We're so happy.
Congratulations.
I didn't want to leave that for the end. That's garbage.
I
You
think
got
we
to
should
lead it off
start,
strong.
middle, finish. Maybe we'll have a
Boom.
special. Maybe we'll come over on Saturday
Yeah.
and talk about
Love
it more. Yeah. It is
Broker
amazing.
bags.
You're so sweet. That was very sweet of you.
I just, you know what I mean? So once again, thank you guys. We are back here riding the bull.
Yeah.
A lot kind of to talk about, only because there's just been so much going on, and markets have I don't want to say getting crazy, but like things have been very volatile.
Yes. Yes. Almost in a manufactured sense, if you will.
Very, very well put. Yes,
Yeah.
agree.
So
Let's kick it off
okay.
with a little the proposed talk that came out way earlier than expected, which was from the White House, President Trump stating that there's going to be a 2-week pause due to an agreement that, that Iran facilitated through Pakistan, that is going to allow all cargo ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz. There's supposed to be like a $2 million fee per vessel. I don't know how any of that is going to be facilitated or what, but hopefully then, you know, in the next few weeks, we'll be able to catch up with this. But then on the flip side of that, you wake up in the morning and then you hear that the ceasefire is off, and that we were not being honest. This is coming from Iran. So there's a lot of back and forth. The problem is the markets don't care. They're going to move either way. And, you know, when they're that nervous, anything that comes out pertaining to that, you're going to see movement. Algos go crazy for that. And somebody else goes crazy for that. John Marcus.
Yeah, I do. I actually was really, really kind of disappointed with everything the last couple of days, and not disappointed, but like, you know, it was a year ago when all this tariff stuff started, right? I mean, literally a year ago, this first week of April, and everything went nuts, and everything was moving off of headlines and tweets and this and that. So the sky is falling. Everything's horrible. The stock market's going to hell. And you get a tweet that we have a two week pause. We're gonna work with everybody. So everybody gets super. Everybody who got their asses kicked, for lack of a better business term, watches all this stuff happen. And it's back and forth and back and forth. And we're trading at levels that are just absolutely insane. Case in point, crude or the stock market or this metal, all this stuff. And I get angry because the other day I was thinking to myself, it's like the White House spring play. Okay.
No.
With horrible writing and worse acting. And you get this comment on, was it Sunday night or Monday? We're going to blow Iran to smithereens. Civilization as we know it is done. So what happens? If you put that out, what happens? The market sells off. Everybody's terrified. This is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Mhm.
Stocks go in the toilet, crude goes to
Correct.
levels you never saw, everything, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then uh, you get this deadline, right? And so
Mhm.
all day, everybody's wondering what the hell's going to happen. And
Mhm.
at 5 o'clock on Tuesday night, all of a sudden the market reopens and it reopens higher. And the number hadn't, and he hadn't even said anything yet. And when I say he,
Right.
I'm talking about Donald Trump. And you almost got that feeling that somebody knew something because you wouldn't be up all that much if you didn't know anything. And then
Absolutely.
25
Absolutely.
minutes later, the market goes, it just these insane movements. But you
Mhm.
knew he was going to call something off, which is what he did. He wasn't blowing anything to smithereens. And
Right.
and these markets, you almost have to read the markets. You don't need to know technicals. You don't need to really know fundamentals. You
No.
just need to think when you almost are betting on when these tweets are going to come out. And you know what he's going to say.
Yeah. Absolutely
So I,
true.
I don't I don't know if I'm being I don't know if I'm being like overly dramatic with it. I don't mean to be, but like
No.
that's true. That's been what's driving the markets the last year, essentially.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about this a number of times that,
Yes.
that one individual, whether it's on purpose or not, should
Hmm.
not have that much influence on markets. But
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
I do.
Unfortunately, this is the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
Hmm.
I feel bad almost because it felt like casino night.
Uh-huh.
Because you know what I mean? It's like all these people are betting on that there's going to be, you know, fire and brimstone lay down in Iran because, Trump's not going to take any of it,
Yeah,
all that
right.
stuff. And
Uh-huh.
it's going to just crush everything.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Then it goes to the like the Wizard of Oz, like, oh hey, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Look over
Yeah.
here because there's nothing going on. And then now we have a 2 week, pause.
What does that even mean? Like this is
I
like
know.
let's say Simon, for example. Okay?
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
hasn't been cleaning his room or is that like any
Yeah.
petulant child. And you're like, all right, I'll give you 2 weeks. But 2 weeks, he's going to do the same shit 3 times
Right.
between now and then. So it's just all of this is so hit or miss. I mean,
Yes.
we'll look back at this one day and
No, I
laugh.
I could be
But
honest with you. This is
yeah,
this is literally a Joseph and Aunt Janet play that everything just kind of is
well,
all
yeah,
a
yeah.
little cookie being dangled, and then
Well,
we're all
children,
just sitting around to it. So I
yeah.
mean, it is what it is.
The problem
You know,
is there's devastatingly huge amounts of money that get
massive.
made and lost
Oh my
that
God.
don't need to be. But I guess at the end of the
Correct.
day, you could look at this 16 different ways, but I guess
Correct.
got a lot of volatility. There's one that's not going anywhere. I do feel
Volatility
like
is not. But now, let me ask you a question.
sure.
So if the volatility isn't going anywhere,
Yeah,
none of this, we'll just go back to any type of actions or um uneasiness in the Middle East. How
sure.
are you going to kind of, if you could, just give me a small little sample size of how would you kind of look at markets this way, and how would you kind of navigate your way trading through these particular markets, whether it's for a hedge,
Mhm.
or if it's, strictly just something you're trying to do, to take advantage of the swings.
Well, I mean, there's two answers to that question. The
Okay.
first answer would be, going back to trading 101, um,
Mhm.
use options. And I know that's what nobody wants to do, but like those are like if you're going to make a large bet, know what you're risking, which you don't know
Mhm.
with futures. I'd buy some options. And
I
the reason is, and I know this is not a popular thought process, but if you have 3 months worth of volatility and price movement in 2 hours,
Yes.
why not buy some options to handle it? If you think crude's going up, buy some calls. It'll be
Well,
expensive, but,
that's
like, you
yeah,
know what
no,
you're
I
risking.
agree, but like we were talking on Tuesday night,
Mhm.
like those
Oh my
bean
god, yeah.
options, you know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about at the close at like 120,
Mhm.
and then you're talking about 15 to 20 minutes in on the open from the night session,
Mhm.
and it was ridiculous. I mean,
Rico, the premiums on S&P options, NASDAQ
mhm,
options, uh,
correct.
gold options, silver options, crude options,
Mhm,
like moved the other day, like
mhm,
things you couldn't. I mean, generationally, well, I was gonna say it's not that great, but like I mean, just
mhm.
you're going to make or lose a lot of money, and more so if you're betting on this volatility. I think the only way to do it is either buy options or just get out of the way. I don't think you can do
Yeah,
it
no,
any other way.
I wouldn't even mess with futures. I would strictly be looking at options,
Mhm.
and I would be playing them very close to the vest
Yeah.
because you need to take advantage of any
Mhm.
spikes or knife drops
Mhm.
and get it. Otherwise, you are
You will get your head cut
it.
off.
Yeah, you really will. I
They're
wanted to say your
expensive
ass handed to
lessons.
you, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
well, it's same
yeah,
thing. Yeah. What you
yeah,
could use, I'm sorry, this is just sitting here. This I feel like is very helpful for, like a lot of like this was
yeah.
filled here, but like
Yeah,
that's another way to kind of navigate some of this volatility.
correcto. Or numb the pain. Yeah,
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 both.
yeah,
But
yeah.
in all sincerity,
Mhm.
you need to understand two things. One of them, don't have what's the fear of missing out, FOMO.
Oh,
Okay.
please.
No, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. But I'm
No,
serious. Think
I
about
know.
it. You are not like you didn't figure this market out. Okay. Like, you know
Correct.
what? You're not going to, you may, get lucky, but it's not the kind of market to play around in. It's
Correct.
just not. And it's like,
No.
we get paid obviously by, making trades and doing things. And there's a ton you can do. But when it
Yeah.
comes, I guess what I'm saying is staying like,
Mhm.
staying away from futures probably isn't the worst thing to do
No, I
right
agree.
now.
I
Right
mean,
now.
it's staying away from futures, I would probably say is the safest thing you could do
Hmm.
in a market like this,
Yeah, I think
um,
so too.
just to reduce your overhead.
Yeah.
Um,
But there will be
really,
opportunity all summer long.
there's
It's going to be great.
opportunities. Correct. This is going to be a kind of an insane year.
Uh huh.
Before I forget,
Uh
I
huh.
wanted to ask you. I know that it was since we're on the Trump train,
Uh huh.
really kind of a nothing
Love
burger
that.
today for our grain report.
Yes. Yes. I mean,
I don't.
this, go ahead.
Yeah. No,
We
I was
went
just
from
going to say
all
I
this
didn't expect
volatility
much.
to nothing.
Correct. And I was just going to say that all of that hype train just got sucked out, and
Yeah.
it was it.
This is kind of a funny time also. And it's like, with all this other like noise and whatnot, like
Mhm,
we just kicked off, the growing season.
mhm,
And, what's going to happen is it's all this talk of Iran. Iran,
mhm,
Iran, Iran. And the next thing you know, you're going to forget about that as a grain trader and you're focused on weather, which you ought to be anyways. But I kind of just feel like, that one thing is going to divorce itself from the other. And
mhm,
it's going to be that Monday to Monday trade. And what's
mhm,
the, what's the next, weather report and what's the 2-week forecast? And that's what it ought to be. And that's what it should be.
mhm.
And I guess the clues we have going into this thing are that funds are very heavily long.
Very.
Seen a little bit of profit taking the last couple weeks
Mhm,
since planning intentions, and now it really is gonna be a spotlight on this weather, and
mhm,
that I'm excited about because it's something that sort of makes sense in a world that hasn't made any sense the last
mhm.
couple of months.
Yeah.
So, you know,
If I could piggyback on your weather comment,
sure.
um, so I couldn't sleep last night, and I
Should have
started
called
to
me.
delve into weather
Uh-huh.
moving forward for this year.
Okay.
So
That's what you
the
were thinking about last night?
it, I,
You gotta
yeah.
call me, baby.
Well, hold on. It actually makes a lot of sense. So the El Nino. Do you know anything about El Nino?
No, I
Okay,
was
so
one once.
oh,
Sorry. You were too.
El Nino
Mhm.
is when the uh water temperatures in the Pacific
Mhm.
warm up um 2 degrees,
Okay.
which then with the jet stream.
Right.
Okay, so anything that's above that is
Mhm.
called a super El Nino, which is 3 degrees or more, which I know sounds like okay, whatever, dude. But
Uh,
the interesting thing is we had a dry winter this
uh-huh.
year,
Sure.
which would then lead to a possibility of us in the Midwest having a less heat, like a cooler summer, a less um, humid fall, which is meaning less rain, and then a very dry and warmer winter going through the end of this year and into next year.
Mhm.
So if that does come into play,
Uh-huh.
um, this year could be a very interesting year based on early dryness,
Uh-huh.
cool, so we don't get the heat to crank up the grains.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know how much of this is going to actually come into play,
Right.
but if this is true
Right.
and this does come into play,
Sure.
um, I know that you have in your bathroom the Farmer's Almanac,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you'll be able to tell me exactly the last time we had something of this
Well,
nature
it's
when it
funny.
comes into play.
It's funny. I did read. I was picking through that the other night, and I
Shut up!
read something about
Such
the
a
super
liar.
El
Well,
Nino. No, the super El
you're
Nino.
such
The problem is it can cause a blind melon, and that's where no, no, that's where we get in a lot of
a
trouble.
bee girl.
Well,
Oh,
no,
okay.
because there's no rain, and then we'll have like no, no, no. But that's what they were saying, and I didn't understand it at first. I'm like, what the what's
Oh,
so? But I will say
okay.
this: what if you went back with these El Ninos and Super El
Yeah,
Ninos and the
yeah,
baby and all this stuff, right?
yeah.
All these things. Does anybody ever go back and check how that actually turned out that growing season? I'm being
Oh,
serious
come
about
on.
this. I'm being serious.
Absolutely,
What's
absolutely.
okay, so let's say we have this super El Nino, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Go ahead.
no, 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 I'm
I
saying,
love this.
but does someone track and be like, "Oh my god, what does it consist of? How do you know that what's the difference between an El Nino and a super El Nino? And then how does that affect the next 3 to 6 months?" I'm being serious. That I don't understand. We read about it, we talk about it,
Right. Absolutely.
but
I
what
think
how does that
the
affect
thing to me, and I think a lot of people, especially in our office, are more worried about is not only that, but then when we figure out the actual weather pattern, what the weather is going to be like on September 26th.
hot and steamy is what I think.
Yeah.
I think there's be a lot of sweatiness.
Shush. Correcto.
Sweating
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
oldies.
So if anybody knows the actual answer to how El
Yeah,
Ninos have been predicted and then how they've actually turned out
yeah.
for particular grain years. I'm sure I could look it up. I probably will. And then I could add it into the comment section just so everybody knows,
Mhm,
or have producer slash broker bags
mhm.
do that for us since everybody loves his articulate responses. And yeah, we
I
could
do.
kind of throw it out there,
Yeah.
you know,
It really is something I've always wondered, like, it seems like one of those things that's just,
doubt
like,
it.
there to sorta scare it, not scare you, but, like, do we really know? And I guess we're gonna find out.
No, we don't know. And it is fear mongering. Is that
Yeah, I believe that's the term. That's the term.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just grow this
Okay.
grain. Just have a good growing
Let's
season.
grow it.
We've had 2 in a row.
Grow
We've had
that
2 in a row. How about this? When was the last time you had 3 in a row?
yeah.
No, I'm
Ooh.
being serious. Like, who knows? Like, like there's gonna be a lot of pressure. It's gonna be
Like a
interesting.
three-peat?
I know, like a three-peat, Pat Riley. Yes. I think we have to pay him for that, right? Doesn't he have the
Yeah.
trademark on that?
Jerry. Yep.
Shoot.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much for
Don't
tuning
you
in
don't have anything to
for
read?
our amazing podcast today.
Yeah.
Riding the Bull.
Killing it.
Yeah, just killing it. Yeah.
Did
All
producer
right.
/ broker bags give you something to read verbatim?
Yeah, and I was just going to do that real quick. So, ladies and
That's good.
gentlemen, thank you again for watching, liking, and subscribing. And if
Yeah.
you haven't, please do.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Also, you could find us on Twitter,
Oh,
X,
wow.
Instagram,
Hello.
TikTok at Ridin the Bull. That's riding minus the G. So Ridin the Bull Pod.
Wow.
You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube Music.
Yeah.
Also, if you have any brokerage or hedging needs, please contact and call Lakefront Futures, sponsor of the show, along with PK Estates.
Right.
Lakefront Futures 312-347-3888. Can ask for me, can ask for Johnny.
Yeah.
You can ask for broker bags. Talk to us direct. There's also Aunt Janet's nephew, Jack No C is there.
There's no
Ask for him as well.
Yeah.
And finally, if you want, this is the cookie. Go to lakefrontfutures.com, sign up for the Lakefront Insider, and get daily market commentary on meats and grains.
It's good.
I mean, how do you beat that?
You can't. I mean, you could steal stuff off of here. How do you do that? Like steal information off of here.
Agree.
I'm saying what's a good way to do that?
That you're going to have to ask broker bags.
All right, I'll talk to him later.
He's all right, you guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye, Rico.